Well, I just get to the boat and look it up in here before I install the next piece of epoxy coated plywood for the overhead. And I took a look in here real quick just to see how everything looked, and not good news. There's a lot of condensation in here now that we're starting to close it back up. So I gotta figure out how to fix that. And so what I did was I touched up here, and it's very cold, and you can see the water running down right there, and same thing up in there and down there. So we're gonna have to fix that, or we're gonna have problems. That's probably part of the reason why that and the leaks, probably why this rotted before. We got to stop the condensation, or else it's just gonna happen over again. So that's where we're gonna have to make something up, and I have just the thing for it. So we're gonna put some air in here and dry this area out, and then I'm gonna apply some insulation. So that's what we're gonna do to fix it, insulation. Welcome back to another exciting and thrill-filled adventure with DIY Nautical Dream. Okay, maybe that was a little over the top. Anyways, we'll go ahead and get our next video started.
So, welcome back, guys.
Whoa, we're back already?
Yeah. Hey, anyways, as you can see, we have a little bit of upgrade to our technology.
Yeah. Yeah, we did. We upgraded. We have a new camera, and we have a new little bit of lighting system on there.
Right.
And we're also trying out some wireless microphones, some DJI wireless mics. So
yeah, so we want to extend our thanks to our patrons who provided our camera, which is
Brandon. Thanks, Brandon. Appreciate it. That was really nice of you. And anyways, yeah.
And then yourself is your own patrons to
Yeah.
get the camera.
So,
anyways,
yeah.
that's it.
But yeah,
Let's go back to what we're here for. Anyways, welcome back, guys. So this week's episode, we're gonna show you our amazing progress in the aft cabin.
oh yeah.
And then we're finding more water
What?
in the galley overhead.
Oh man.
Mm-hmm.
After all that work.
Yep. And then we are installing another rebuilt port light in the aft cabin.
Oh yeah.
And lots of work in the galley overhead still.
Yep. That's the gift that never stops giving, that galley overhead. It is one of those projects that just keeps evolving into more and more work. So, yeah, we got our work cut out for us in this episode. We're just going to do the best we can to get as far as we can. So, Sorry if these videos are a little bit long, but the work is long as well, and we just want to show everybody that's really interested in this type of project what all we're going through to get this work done. If you're facing a similar situation in your boat or project you're working with at home, then hopefully this will help you as well. So we're just trying to show you what we're dealing with and how we're tackling it going forward. So appreciate your patience sticking with us. We really want to say thank you to all of our new subscribers that have joined in recently, and that just really gives us the confidence that you guys are appreciating what you're seeing. So thanks for watching, and we're going to get to work.
Stay tuned.
Yep, we'll see you in a little bit. Bye. Let's take a look and see what's going on in the aft cabin with those teak panels. We've been working really hard to get those fitted, to get a nice seamless gapless fit going all the way around the aft edge and the sides. And so this is the first time we've had both new pieces of teak paneling up at the same time. And wow, what a difference it makes. It is really beautiful. It's really coming along good. It's quite inspiring to see the beautiful changes going on back here in the aft cabin. But oftentimes it requires a lot of putting these on, taking them off, up and down, over and over again. Sometimes just to sand a little bit of an area, but we want to get that really good fit. I have both pieces just temporarily held into place, but yeah, it's looking pretty good. That side over here, we still don't have that one made yet for the teak panel there, but we do have it here, but not varnished yet, so that's going to look a lot different when it's varnished. Keep in mind these gaps will go away once everything's fastened into place. What I need to do here is I need to trim this, because these two pieces are actually overlapping right here in the middle. So I need to cut a line down the middle there, and then, sorry about that, I need to cut a line down the middle there. So these two pieces are just butted up against each other, because we're going to make another one of these that goes across here, and it's going to conceal. You won't see the seam at all, but this kind of gives you an idea of what it's going to look like. Oh man, this is like a million times better than that white plastic junk that was in here. Yep. And then this is going to we're going to replace all this too, so this will be all new. It'll match this. So I like this color, it's very nice. So we'll have to sand these. We won't be able to replace these, the window frames, but that's okay. We'll make a new one of these and another one for there. Anyways, if you're laying in bed right here looking up, this is the view that it's going to be, minus these seams here, because we're going to put a piece of trim going across here and you won't see it. But just imagine hanging out back here. It's going to be pretty nice. And then we're going to put lights. We're going to put new lights back in here. And I think I'm going to find some way to light up these cubbies here also. And yeah, we're gonna do some cool lighting ideas. But for now, we just got to get the wood in. And I'm holding off on doing that because we have to replace these, and I want to make sure that I have room to... I still got a lot of excess on the front edge to trim off, so I want to keep that until absolutely sure there's not going to be any changes. Because, you know, the wood could be a different thickness, could have a little different bend to it, whatever, right? So I want to keep our options open. These here, these both need to be sanded and have about 2 or maybe 3 more coats of varnish on them. But I'm not real happy with this quality of teak. I'm not going to buy it from that supplier again, but we'll go back and buy the other stuff from Port Angeles. But yeah, this is what it's going to look like. Pretty sharp. wow, just step back and take a look. Try to imagine what this looked like before when we first purchased the boat, with the white plastic sagging around up there and just hanging around loosely, all the big gaps and everything. And we had the vision to replace that with teak, and we made that vision happen. We took a lot of time to think about it, a lot of imagination, and a lot of sitting and staring and wondering and trying to dream up ideas. And then we just finally took action on it and made some templates out of door skin, and then we fitted those into the teak panels that you see here. And these just only have, I think, 2 coats of varnish on them, and that's just really just to protect that thin layer of veneer teak that's on there, and it's backed by plywood. So anyways, we're just trying to get a really good visual on how well these are going to fit, and stepping back and taking that look really just gives it that wow factor, and we're really happy with what it looks like. We understand that the aft bulkhead panel, the wood paneling back there, does not match the new teak, and that's going to be all right, because we'll replace that with some new teak plywood as well later on down the road. We know we have some work to do on the aft bulkhead behind there, the structure. The chain plate's leaking, so we want to wait to do any final fitting until after we've got a chance to repair that area. All right, here's another view, looking at it, looking aft, looking pretty good. Telling you what, this is looking really nice back here. Yep. Keep in mind we don't have any of the trim pieces in yet, and still got a lot of work to do back here, but we're definitely making progress, and I feel like we're going in the right direction. So this is like, man, this is gonna look so nice once we get some trim back here to hide all the seams, and you won't see any of this up here going on. That's going to be all tucked in there. But for now, I have excess, you can see right there, and I don't want to trim that off yet until we get the very back wall done. Then, because right now as it is, everything can still go back farther, or it can actually even come forward a little bit if it needed to be. But for right now, I just don't want to chance it, right? So, but man, this is looking pretty sharp. What do you think? You guys like it or what? It's pretty nice. It's definitely motivating. We still have a long ways to go to get the final fit on these new teak panels, but just taking a look at it, what do you guys think? Do you think this is a big improvement over what was in there before? Or did you like the white plastic pieces that were up there instead? Now, when we're finished with this, we're going to have new lighting back here. All the trim will be sanded and refinished to match. And so everything is going to look really nice back here. We want a lot of teak in the boat. We were really looking for the Formosas and the CTs, and we fell in love with that wood, that teak wood on the inside of those boats. And we decided whatever boat we get, we're going to make that interior nice and decked out in teak. So that's the look we're going for. It's not everybody's favorite, but we like a lot of wood with a little bit of white for contrast. So we'll get it in there. We'll put some white touches in here and there, but all in all, it's going to be mostly teak. So we like that. This is the final piece of white plastic that's back here in the aft cabin that we want to take out and make it into new teak plywood. And so what we're doing, we just added our measurements on there of how much extra we need to add on all those areas, because you can see right there, clearly there's some gaps at the bottom there. And we want a really nice tight fit. We don't want to have to add trim everywhere to hide our sins. We know that that's a carpenter's trade, and we're going to do that where we need to, but we want to try and make a really good fit. We're in the practice of making good fits, and so we want to do it whenever and wherever possible. But the other thing is if we find out that we have too much teak back here and we're not happy with how dark everything is, we can always wrap these little panels, we can wrap these with white padded vinyl, and it'll look nice either way. But we're going to go for it in teak for now, and if we want to change it later, we always can. But yeah, these are little tricky things to fit in there, because the aft bulkhead plywood is actually concaved reverse, and so it kind of bows inward a little bit, and so it was tricky because I thought it was a square edge. But anyways, we figured that out, and so now we're going to get these fit, take these home, and we'll make them out of teak plywood and bring it back. So we took the white plastic panel home, we used that as our template, and we cut a new one out of teak plywood, and then we went ahead and sanded that and fitted that really good to the old piece, and then we added one coat of varnish on it just for protection to take it to the boat, and then we'll make that fit. And here's what it looks like right here. Already looks really beautiful. I can't see why we wouldn't like that in the boat, but you never know. And then so for now we're just going to leave it as is. We'll bring it to the boat and do our final fit with it. And you can see there we have one of the old port lights we need to rebuild still. Now we're going to transition from the teak panels in the aft cabin, and we're going to get back to working on the overhead in the galley area. That is our favorite project, and we got to give it a little bit of love and attention to keep that thing moving in the right direction. This time I have my inspector's hat on, so I'm an inspector now, and the next job up on the call sheet is okay to close. So we're going to go ahead and inspect this area and give them an okay to close this area up. The mechanic's in a big hurry to close this area up. They want to put that next panel in, so I'm going to have to inspect this area very carefully and make sure that there's nothing hidden in here, no flaws, no problems, no more leaks, anything of that sort. And as we're looking around here with our flashlight, we're starting to notice a few things. I don't think the mechanic did a very good job in this area. They left some work undone. So we're going to return this to shop, and they're going to have to come back up here and finish it and make it per engineering disposition. So we just got to the boat, and I was looking up in here before I install the next piece of overhead ceiling panel. Keep in mind we've treated these with epoxy, so moisture won't get into these very easily without sitting on it for quite some time. But still, we don't want to chance it, right? So anyways, I took a look up in here just to see what's going on, and look at all the drips of water. And the reason why that's happening is because this area here is very cold, and you can see the water's condensing on it here. So yep, because that's on the outside of the boat. So what we're going to have to do, and it's warmer inside here, so the moisture is condensing on the surface. So I'm going to cut some sections of foam insulation and put it up in here. And I'm even contemplating using some spray foam up in the very forward section up there, just to make sure we get it sealed up. But my big concern is I hope I never have to get in here again, because if I put spray foam, that will make this job messy later on down the road if I ever have to get in here again. But there's no electrical running through here. I don't see any reason to ever have to get in here. So yep, I think we're going to do it. Anyways, that's what's going on. It's not a setback, but I'm really glad I saw it before I start closing it in further. You can just see the water totally condensing on the side there. And so anyways, it's fixable, no problem. I have the insulation and we're going to use it. So I'll dry the area out. I'll dry all this area out. I'll put some air up in here and dry it out really good. And then I'll get some 3M adhesive and spray it on the surface here, and then stick the foam insulation. It's 1/4 inch foam insulation. I'll stick that on there, and that should stop it from that should be enough to insulate it so that there's not the big difference in temperatures to cause the condensation. Anyways, that's what's going on. I was hoping not to find that, but it hasn't been raining, so that's all it can be. Anyways, we didn't have it before we started closing this area up, but now that the air can't balance as well, that's what's going on. We're going to cut a test piece of high density foam insulation and bond it on there and see how that works out. Just a test piece. Right, so what I did was I used the 3M adhesive spray, and I dried this area here, got all the condensation off, dried it with a heat gun, and then I went ahead and applied the 3M adhesive spray, and we'll see. we're going to leave this on overnight and see what it looks like the next day. And then down here, you can see that I didn't dry that back there. I just want to, I'll dry that before I leave, and then we'll see what it looks like tomorrow when we come in and it's cold in here. We'll see if the insulation helped any or not. If not, then we're gonna fill this void with spray foam, and that'll take care of it. So anyways, that's what we got. We'll see what happens, but looks like it's holding pretty good. So yeah, anyways, if this works, then that's good. I'm not worried about this section here, because this is going to be foam core on the decking. This part wasn't where the cold was. It was right up along here, up in the forward area. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, anyways, I think that's going to work. And then we'll just continue to do it all the way back. But anyways, we're going to close this area up anyway, and nobody's going to see it. But I don't want condensation in here, so we'll see how it goes. But anyways, wasn't expecting this, but it is what it is. So, and then I think I'm going to spray spray foam insulation up in the front here, and we'll see what happens. Tomorrow we'll check, make sure there's no moisture collecting here at the base of this area, and if that's true, then I'll consider this good. Well, there's no turning back now. The decision has been made. We're going to go ahead and spray expanding foam insulation up in this forward cavity, and we're going to go for broke and see what happens. Hopefully we never have to get in here again, because if we do, we're going to be really regretting this decision. Never used this stuff before, but it's very sticky. I really should have had gloves on. So I went ahead and filled in the forward area there with some spray foam for insulation abilities. And anyways, basically, we're just using that to keep that area from getting any condensation in there. I'll have to get another can and get up in the top up there, but yeah, nothing major. Anyways, seems like it did a pretty good job. I'm gonna get some more for sure. A couple more cans. I think I'm gonna fill this whole area. So it's just an empty void. Nothing goes in here. There should be no reason to ever have to get in here. So we'll see. Wow, this stuff really expands. I hope we're not gonna live to regret this decision, but we're going with it. We'll consider added flotation in case we ever need that extra buoyancy. Now it's time to transition to the forward opening hatch area, and we're going to epoxy coat some plywood strips that are going to go up in that area, protecting them from water, of course. But first we're going to mix some thicken epoxy, and that's going to go between the gaps and fill the seams of the next piece of plywood to go up in the galley overhead area. We want to seal those up really good, all the gaps and everything, so no moisture can get in or out, and we don't want any air or any light or anything like that to be able to get through there. We want to make. All right, we're mixing up a batch of thicken epoxy. So just the resin and just the filler right now to make the thickness. This will gauge if I need to add more or if I need to add a little bit more epoxy. Yeah, seems like it's a little bit runny for what we want. We're using it as a gap filler between the pieces of plywood up on the overhead. I don't have to worry about her end because I don't have any of the what do you call it? The activator catalyst. I don't have any of the catalyst in there yet, so I don't have to hurry. But we're gonna add at least, I think we're gonna add two more scoops. because once I put the catalyst in there, it's gonna thin it out a little bit also. So I want it really thick, because this is going up overhead and it has a tendency to sag or slump, and we don't want none of that going on. So we added 4 pumps of resin, so we'll add 4 pumps of the catalyst, activator, whatever you want to call it. And that's the stuff that's going to make this start to harden up. So we'll go ahead and put our 4 pumps in. We'll make sure we get this mixed up really well. And that's about the consistency that we want. We want it to be really thick, but not too runny. And I'm using the slow activator, not the fast. So I have quite a bit of time. All right. I'm actually thinking I'm going to add 1 more scoop of this. Yep. Very thick now. That's what we're looking for right there. All right, got to get to work. Okay, so we have our epoxy mixed up, chip brush right there, and then we're going to go ahead and epoxy coat this one here, back side of this one, and then a little bit more back on this one here because it's a little thin. This is the top side, which will be subject to condensation, so I'm going to add another coating of epoxy on here, and then this piece as well. We're going to go ahead and epoxy coat this on all edges and inside there where the cutout is. So, and yeah, so we'll go ahead and epoxy those, and then tomorrow they'll be all set up and ready to go. We've already done these sides. See the shine? So those have already been epoxy coated, and we're just trying to make them, you know, so that the water won't penetrate because there appears to be a lot of condensation up in the ceiling area, so we want to do the best we can. And anyways, so those pieces are going to go up here in the overhead area. They're going to go up in here, and also we're going to go ahead and paint this area up in here as well, I'll paint where the plywood sections are going to go, and then once all of the plywood sections are replaced, then we'll go ahead and paint everything all together. But yeah, so we're making some progress. See, this piece has already been replaced, and then start working our way back here with more plywood sections, and look, replacing some of the rotted overhead with new sections that are epoxy coated and fiberglassed and epoxied into place. So we're getting there, and then we'll continue working our way aft. I have to figure out what's going on with this. Very solid, except for this. See how it's delamed here because of the moisture. You can see the staining here. Water was pooling in that area for a while. But we're going to go ahead and continue working our way aft, continue cutting more of the rotted plywood out. See all the staining on it from water, just sitting there soaking on it year after year. So we're replacing all that, and then I have everything all marked up and with tape because I'm about ready to start dropping these sections too, so I can continue working back. And went ahead and got in there. So this is the next piece right here. This would be the next piece to fiberglass in there. So, and then we'll continue painting up in there as well, and then we'll get more insulation up in there too. So that'll help reduce the condensation, so that'll help preserve the plywood, and everything will just continue to work together, and hopefully everything lasts for a long time. So anyways, I got to get to work. Epoxy's gonna kick. Later. Now as we're progressing farther aft in the galley overhead area, we have to start removing some more of this top overhead structures, these light boxes, and all these other things that are mounted on the ceiling here in the galley. So one of the practices I like to do is I like to put tape on everything and mark it so I know everything's where it came out of and how it's going to go back, so everything's in alignment when we start drilling new holes, because chances are we're going to be having new plywood behind there and the holes won't be located. So we want to make sure everything's mounted back where it came from. I guess we better sign this up on the call board for okay to remove before QA gets upset and writes us up for unauthorized removal. So we better get that going real quick. So as you can see, we're using a lot of blue tape. But like we said, these are all reference points. These are indicators that let us know everything is in alignment, where it came out of, how it looked, and how we can adjust everything to get it back the way we need it once we put it back together. Because, yeah, the holes aren't going to be there. Everything's going to shift a little bit, and some of this vinyl might change or whatever. So we have no idea what it's going to look like and how long it's going to be until we're putting it back. So we can't go off memory. So that's what the tape comes in handy for, and then we take lots of pictures like this, and then we have it all for visual reference when we're putting this all back together. It'll make sense in the end. Everybody has a different way of doing things. This is just one of the ways it works pretty good for us. Alright, now comes some fun parts. We've been waiting to do this for a long time. So now we get to start putting more of the epoxy coated plywood sections back up on the overhead structure area, and this is going to be a next step getting us closer to closing up this vinyl in this area, and it'll just visually really be a motivator for us. So first thing we're doing here is lining up the plywood, and then I have a mini awl in my hand, and that's going to go through the holes that are pre-drilled in the plywood, and we're going to line it up with the holes that are in the overhead and get some screws started. So here we go. And this is a new piece of epoxy coated plywood that replaced the rotten piece that was not treated with anything. So we went ahead and saturated some plywood with epoxy on all sides, all edges, and same thing we've done here, and this will help prevent any moisture from penetrating anytime in the near future, and hopefully it'll last a long time. So we're just going to keep repeating that process over and over again every time we come across anything. And so what we're going to do on this piece right here is we'll remove that once we have this vinyl attached here, because we're going to be replacing all this paneling here, taking this trim down here, and then that'll allow us to drop this edge here of the vinyl once it's secured here. Okay, so we just got to keep working working to the point where we can attach the vinyl back here again. And then, you know, we're going to attach this piece back on here as well. So, we're getting there. The next piece we need to put in is, there's a piece that goes right in here. You see where the screw is sticking down there, and that little wire tie. Anyways, there's a piece that's secured by 2 fasteners that's going to go in there next, and that's also epoxy coated. This overhead repair project really got to be a big thing, and it's kept continuing to spread, and it seemed like we were taking more things apart than putting anything back together, and it was starting to kind of get a little bit overwhelming at times. But now we're turning the corner on it, and we're actually been starting to put new pieces of treated plywood back up in place, replacing the old rotted stuff that we had taken down, and then we're doing the final painting on the large opening hatch plywood there, the support plywood that holds the teak frame in place. It's really nice to be putting all that together. It probably doesn't look like much from the outside, but you know, working on the project all the time and continually taking things apart kind of starts to grind on you a little bit after a while, and so you just kind of hope for the light at the end of the tunnel. And I think we're, like I said, we're turning the corner on that, and we're starting to put some stuff together now instead of tearing things apart. And it's a good feeling to see it starting to come together, and we're really looking forward to being able to close up some of this vinyl in this forward portion here, and we'll just keep on at it, 1 inch at a time, whatever it takes. Forward progress is what we're after. Working hard on a project like this all day long, you can kind of work up an appetite after a while and get a little bit hungry. So it's time to take a break, have a sandwich, drink some some coffee, and some water to wash it all down later on. But yeah, we probably don't want to mix up that varnish and coffee. I don't know, they probably look the same, but I don't think they're going to taste the same. This boat has like 15 or 16 of these opening port lights on it. What do you say? It's time to bust out another port light. Oh. The first thing we want to do here is we want to prep the holes. We want to open them up and widen the opening of them with the Dremel motor, and then we'll drill them open a little bit bigger than the size of the screw. And then once all that is done, we'll clean it up and we'll get ready to add the thickened epoxy in there. We just want to show you the steps we're taking in case this is something you're facing on your boat. We're just kind of showing you what we're doing. We're not saying it's the preferred way. It's the way we know. So now the holes have been, the surface and everything's been wiped down with acetone and cleaned and removed all the dust and everything. And now we're getting ready to add the thickened epoxy into the holes and let that set up. So we'll show you how we're doing that right here. We're using one of those tongue depressors or one of the fat popsicle sticks. Those work out pretty good. And we mix the thickened epoxy. We're mixing it pretty thick so that it doesn't slump or sag or anything like that. We want it to stay in the hole. Right. So that's all there is to it. We just gotta let it set up now. So hopefully after it cures, I'll drill some small holes in there and locate the new holes for the trim ring to go around here, and hopefully there won't be any problems. But we'll see how it goes. Alright, this time we're going to be installing one of the left-hand aft cabin port lights. We got about 15 or 16 of these total on the boat, and we're knocking them down one by one, a little bit at a time. We take them home, we rebuild them, make them back like almost as good as new, and then we bring them back to the boat and install them one or two at a time. So let's get to work. Okay, so I went ahead and opened up all the holes bigger than I needed, and then cleaned them with acetone, and then filled them with thickened epoxy, and we'll let that set up, and then hopefully tomorrow or Sunday we'll be locating the new holes and be good to go to mount the trim ring and the port light over here. Anyways, nothing to it, just a little bit of time and patience. This port light we're working on here is going to be the forward one on the left hand side of the aft cabin. And yeah, we're going to get everything going here. The holes have already been prepped and filled with thickened epoxy. And then we'll just go ahead and clamp this in here and start locating the holes from the inside. Those are the mounting holes that are going to hold the port light into place up to the cabin side from the inside. You can see here how we have these squeeze clamps in place holding it. And what we do is we go ahead and get it located, centered, and everything within all the gaps are even all the way around. And that's viewing it from the outside. And then we just clamp it up with these clamps, hold everything into place, and then we can start drilling, and we have both hands free to operate the drill motor. It's working out pretty good. We're refining our process. The more of these we do, the better we're getting at installing these. At this stage here, we have 4 of the bottom mounting screws already located and started, and now we just need to do the upper 4 screws, and then this thing will be installed from the inside, and then we'll focus on working on the outside portion of it. Yeah, our process has improved a lot, and I'd say if we went back and redid the other port lights over, we'd probably do them a little bit better than we did, but it's a learning curve, and we're definitely on the good side of that now. Well, we have another port light installed. Located all the holes here, re-drilled, and then re-threaded, which you have to go really slow because if you go too fast, you'll crack the epoxy and have to start over, so we don't want to do that. But yeah, look at that. Nice, huh? Not too bad. So I still have to seal the outside. Running out of time. Won't be able to get to that tonight. So I will tape it off real quick, and then in case it rains tonight, I'll tape it off. And tomorrow, hopefully get a chance to seal the outside. So I'm not sure if you recall or not, but when we first bought the boat, you couldn't even hardly see out these port lights in the aft cabin. They were so crazed, and the gel material between the lens frames was all cloudy and everything, so you really couldn't see out them very well. Now when we did these, we rebuilt them with new lenses, and our lenses are smoked, so they have a little bit of a tint to them, and wow, they really look nice. We're pretty happy with it. As long as these don't leak, we'll be really happy and satisfied with the work we've done. But so far, these things are turning out looking like they're almost new. And speaking of new, we priced one of these in the local boat shop, the marine store next to the boatyard here. And they were asking a cool $650 for it. $650 for one. So it's well worth it to learn how to rebuild these ourselves and source the materials, cut the lenses, replace the gaskets, bed them back in, seal them in, everything. $650 for one, and multiply that however many we have on the boat. Man, that's a lot of money. So for the aft cabin, we have one port light left to install. I still have to rebuild it. I have to still put new lens in it, new seal, all that stuff. But yeah, so we'll do that during the week and have it ready for next weekend. But that's where we're at. We got 2 back there in, and the one over there is installed, so almost making a little bit more progress. Not too bad, if I don't say so myself. What do you think? It's looking pretty good compared to where we started, considering we've never done anything like this before. We're learning as we go. Baby and I, we stay to it. We're determined, and we're going to find our way through this. Well, Doesn't look like a lot happened this weekend, but we got a lot done, regardless of how it looks. Was able to get those panels up there installed, painted. Everything's painted where it needs to be. And then up in here, little panel there installed. More of the overhead ceiling panel installed. And we're just continuing to make progress. I know it doesn't seem like much. We went ahead and sprayed some insulation in up there. Help deal with the condensation that was building up in there. And so far it seems like it's working. So anyways, soon we're going to be able to at least close up the very forward portion of the vinyl. And you know, that'll be cool. I'm going to redo the, I think I'll redo the wiring in here real quick next weekend. And then I'm going to continue to cut more of this out. I'd like to, you know, get it cut back to, I don't know, at least this area right here. So that'd be good. I got things marked for getting ready to remove all this stuff here coming up. That'll be good. And then we got another port light installed here. And it's raining like crazy out right now, so it seems like it's a little wet, but I didn't have it closed very well, so I went ahead and tightened down all these. Same thing there and there. They were all really loose, so I don't know why I left them so loose, but I guess it's because I had them open. Yesterday it was nice and warm, so anyways, we'll just see how it goes. Everything's got all new seals and O-rings in it, so they shouldn't leak. We'll just see how it goes. And then we'll just keep on checking her out, making more progress.
Alright, so hope you enjoyed this week's video, guys, an update to our DIY project.
Yep. So yeah, we were pretty busy in the galley overhead. The one thing I really want to touch on is the amazing work that we've done in the aft cabin. That new teak plywood that replaced that white plastic fake whatever it was. The teak plywood is just, man, what a thing of beauty it's going on back there. That wood has just transformed the aft cabin into something that's just so beautiful. Can't wait to see it when it's finished, but on a little bit of a downside, we're going to have to stop kind of working on that in the aft cabin area because we've discovered we need a workshop on the boat, and the aft cabin makes the most sense for an area to work on. Big project, we're going to have to cut a lot of wood, we're going to do a lot of sanding, a lot of grinding and trimming of parts, and that's the only place that makes sense to really do it. So we'll stop with those overhead panels. That'll be about as far as we get as far as remodeling, refitting the aft cabin. We will continue to install the port lights to complete that section of the boat out because we do need to stop all the leaking and the water coming in from the port lights and things like that. But after that, we're pretty much done. Just putting a halt on the work in the aft cabin for now. It doesn't make sense to continue making everything beautiful, putting all new teak plywood in there when we're just going to coat everything with a huge layer of dust, possibly scratching something. So just wanted to let you guys know that that work in the aft cabin after that's going to stop, and we're going to continue focusing on the main project on the boat is the galley overhead. It's just, we had no idea it was as big as it is, and you know, we're just really going to focus on trying to get that solved. We don't know exactly how we're going to work our way through it, so you know, that's where we're going to put most of our focus on for the time being. And once we get that wrapped up, then we can start expanding into some other projects, but mainly getting the galley complete. So baby will have a nice new galley at some point, and it'll look beautiful, hopefully. So that's where we're at on that, and we hope you like everything we're showing you. If you like to see something different, or if you like to see a different camera angle or whatever, or something explained better, please feel free to ask. We're open to suggestions and comments and criticism as well. So just stay with us, and we're going to work through this project.
All right, so thanks for watching, guys. If you are not subscribed yet, please subscribe down below.
Ding.
See you. Stay tuned.
Yep. Thanks for watching. We appreciate it. And please don't forget to like and subscribe. See ya. Bye.
Bye.
Now there's a nice looking shell. I'd keep that one.
And what's that?
My idea. Oh, we got a boat coming. It's this guy. Nice. Dang. 5 engines on the back. That was sweet.